5 tips for practicing and getting used to your router. So guys, if you watch our channel at all, you know that mainly what we do is sign carving. We do all freehand sign carving with our routers, and that's our biggest tool. Dad's got like 30 of them. But a lot of people get really intimidated when it comes to routers. The reality is they're really simple to use. You just got to get used to them. So today, that's what we're doing. We're going over 5 really easy, really practical tips that you can do just to get used to running your router to where you're comfortable with it. Tip number 1. Get used to the feel of the router and actually manipulating it and using it while the router is off. We use our base plate, guys, and that allows for a lot more surface area on whatever you're working on. Also, it allows us to have both hands on the router, but also keep our forearms on the bench while we're carving. Think of it like walking up a ladder. In construction, they say you need 3 points of contact in order for you to be safe. This is kind of the same thing. The more contact you have with the bench and the board, then the more control you will have of your router. And working with it while it's off will give you a lot more confidence once you finally turn it on and start carving. Once you feel comfortable with that, then you can either put a bit in it but raise it to where you're not cutting anything, or tighten the nut down hand tight without a bit in it and turn the router on, and then do the same thing. And that'll get used to how the router turns on in your hand. That'll get used to the vibration that you feel, the weight you feel, and also the sound. So if a router intimidates you, these 2 little things right here will really help you get more confidence to get in there and start carving. Tip number 2, choosing the right router bit. Now, we did a video a little while back on our small beginner sign carving kit, and they came with 3 router bits. So again, guys, we're talking in the context of freehand sign making or freehand carving, but I think this goes across all genres if you're going to use a router. Having the right router bit for whatever job you're doing is imperative. So we have 3 main router bits that we use for pretty much 80% of our carving, and that's the profile bit, the 60-degree bit, and the 90-degree bit. And we have videos on what each one of those is used for. I'll put a link in the description and you can check those out. And we're also going to go into them for the next 3 steps. Tip number 3. If you got our beginner sign carving kit, then you got an 1.5 inch set of fatty font, which is the perfect way to go. Perfect starting set because it's good size and it's a really easy font to carve. So what you want to do is you want to lay them all out on a board. Everything you got. Lay them out, and that'll help you practice your layout too. Make sure that they look good, they have even spacing, nice lines and all that stuff, and then use your 60-degree bit and carve all of them inset. Again, this kind of goes into the idea of using your router to get used to it, and this is just a good way to practice, and you can do this on whatever scrap board you have, because inset is definitely the hardest to carve, at least for me it is, and this is the one where you're really going to struggle. So if you got to do that 10 times before you can make a sign that you feel is good enough to actually put on the market and try to sell, then do it 10 times. It's fun, it's great practice, and you're going to get better every single time you do it. Tip number 4 is to do the exact same thing. Lay all of your letters and numbers out, but this time you want to give them a little bit more space because now you're going to use the profile bit and you're going to do everything outset. And outset is easier for me than inset is, but this is a really good way to kind of get used to where you need your router bit on that line, how close you need to get. If you see bobbles or you see the wavy lines where you want straight lines, this is a really good way to get used to that. And again, do this 4, 5, 6 times, however many it takes you to get used to your router, to get used to how it feels pulling your router towards you, pushing it away, whether you like carving left to right, top to bottom. It'll kind of let you know what your method is and how you're comfortable carving. Tip number 5, once you have all of your outset letters done with the profile bit, then you're going to take your 90-degree bit and you're going to go in and you're going to take out all of the wood in between those letters. So essentially you're making a sign that is just the alphabet and 0 to 9 with all your punctuations. You're going to take that and you're going to get used to, number 1, the depth you need, which our router bit depth gauge really helps with. You're going to get used to how it cuts because the 90-degree has a much wider cut than the profile and the 60-degree. So just getting used to it and getting your practice in, you'll be surprised that it really doesn't take very long to where you have nice lines, you're getting your depth right, and you'll be able to make something that you think you can sell. So what it really boils down to, you guys, is using your router. Get used to how it feels when your router's off, get used to the weight, manipulating it, how to set the depth, all of that stuff with your router off. That way it's not super intimidating. But once you're used to that, and once you feel comfortable with turning your router on and starting to carve, just carve. Carve whatever. But I really do like the idea of carving an entire alphabet multiple times, both inset and outset. And I think you guys will see that the learning curve on doing this is really not very bad. And you'll be surprised how soon you can make beautiful looking signs. Now, a little caveat is artwork. There's unlimited amounts of artwork, but for me, carving letters and numbers is harder than doing really any artwork as long as there's a good line on the board. Because when it comes to artwork, you have a lot more kind of leeway. You can adjust stuff. But if you have a sign that has 3 A's in it, they all got to look exactly the same. That's where the difficulty really comes in getting everything uniform looking. But again, a little bit of practice and you guys will be making some really nice stuff. As always, guys, thank you for watching. You can check out our beginner sign carving kit. I'll put a link in the description below. It's also tagged in this video, and you can go check out makeawoodsign.com if there's something you need. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Bye.